What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video and welcome to your $1,400 stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Friday, February 12th. Today we have some huge news and some of it is good, but as always, some of it is bad. You saw the title, you know this is not good. So let's get into it. First off, yesterday the Department of Labor reported that we saw 793,000 people apply for unemployment benefits for the first time last week. That is not good. That was actually up from the estimated number of people that were expected. This is in addition to the roughly 400,000 people that are self-employed that also filed for unemployment benefits as well. The new totals are roughly 20.44 million people, million Americans, are currently on unemployment at this time. And this is what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said yesterday. He said on Twitter, because Georgians sent Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff to the United States Senate, this COVID relief bill will be bigger and bolder, and it will bring significantly more help to every American. Now that sounds good. Actually, that sounds great. But we still have more problems. One of the pieces of legislation that is looking like it will make its way into the budget reconciliation, into this $1.9 trillion bill, is the $15 federal minimum wage increase. But even though it seems like that would be beneficial for more Americans to make more money, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, stated that this will actually impact the budget, and this would even hurt the economy in the short term. It would bring roughly 900,000 people out of poverty, but it will mean roughly 1.4 million people will be laid off from their jobs. So about an additional 500,000 people would be negatively impacted from this move rather than it being more beneficial. And with that said, Democrats still plan to push forward with the federal minimum wage increase. And this is where Republicans differ greatly. And this is also where it becomes another major problem. Here's the reason why. There is a senator. It's actually a Democrat. Her name is Kyrsten Sinema. She is opposed to providing a $15 federal minimum wage increase into the budget reconciliation. It's not only her, it's even people like Joe Manchin that are still somewhat opposed to the $15 federal minimum wage increase in this bill. However, based on reports, if Joe Manchin is the only senator that opposes this provision, then he would back down, he would withdraw his objection, and he would just vote to pass this bill. But if there's other Senate Democrats on board with him, which now there are, these are the two that really oppose it, then yes, the Democrats and the committees would have to go back to work and kind of restructure this or just completely drop the $15 minimum wage. What Senator Sinema had to say the other day was this. She stated, "What's important is whether or not it's directly related to short-term COVID relief. And if it's not, then I'm not going to support it in this legislation. The minimum wage provision is not appropriate for the reconciliation process. It is not a budget item, and it shouldn't be in there." And then she also went on to say, "There is no instance in which I would overrule a parliamentarian's decision. I want to restore the 60-vote threshold for all elements of the Senate's work." So in other words, not only is she opposed to passing a $15 federal minimum wage increase in this $1.9 trillion budget reconciliation bill, but she would also not support the idea of getting rid of the filibuster, which is the 60-vote rule in the Senate. So this means that if Democrats want to put the $15 federal minimum wage into this bill, first, they need to get her on board. And it does not look like that's going to happen. The other way is they can negotiate with Republicans. And that kind of leads us into the next issue. We know the committees are currently working on the rest of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Many committees have already finished their work. Nancy Pelosi says the rest should be done this week, and some are expected to finish today. So here's what we know. The House expects to vote on this $1.9 trillion stimulus package in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully the week of February 22nd, and by the end of February, we would have a vote finalized, it would be passed in the House, hopefully kicked over to the Senate, and it would be passed there as well. But that is not looking as likely at this point. And even Nancy Pelosi stated that she would like this bill on President Biden's desk by the 1st of March. That's when she wants this on his desk. Well, here's what we're hearing. That yes, even though getting it to President Biden's desk would be a big win for Congress, the issue is President Biden is still trying to negotiate a bipartisan stimulus package with Republicans. President Biden is calling Republicans, specifically Susan Collins, who is the leader of that $618 billion stimulus package, or the leader of that 10-member group of senators that pitched this package about a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago, about 2 weeks ago. But reports yesterday say that President Biden called Senate Republican Susan Collins, trying to convince her to come back to the table and up her offer. And so, based on all reports, they are saying that Susan Collins is reaching out to the other group of senators, Senate Republicans, to try to figure out what is their top line number. How high can they go? Well, here's what we know. Okay, in this $618 billion stimulus package, it included a $1,000 stimulus check. The cutoffs were insanely low, which had many Democrats just completely say, no, that's not going to work. This also included no state and local government funding. There was money in here for schools. There was money in here for vaccines. And the big issue that some Democrats had was that there was only $300 per week for unemployment benefits. And this didn't go until September 30th like President Biden wanted. This didn't even go until August 29th like the Ways and Means Committee has in the bill now. This only went until June 30th. And that had many people saying that, no, this is a non-starter. And this was a non-starter for multiple reasons. But President Biden, even though initially last week, he pretty much stated that, okay, we're going to move our own direction. We're going to move forward with the budget reconciliation because it just seems like we're too far apart. Well, now it seems like President Biden is wanting to renegotiate with Republicans, trying to figure out a way to pass a bipartisan stimulus package. Because we know, based on all reports, that Republicans would be willing to come up to $1 trillion. But as you know, with Republicans in any negotiation, you don't come in with your best and final offer. Okay. Now, yes, if you're dealing in real estate, yes, you can come in with, this is my last and final, and hopefully you win the deal. But in this case, with Congress, that's not the way they work. Democrats came in high before with $3.4 trillion for the HEROES Act, and Republicans came in way low at like $500 billion. Huge difference. And then they were going to go and negotiate somewhere in the middle. That's how you work a negotiation. Well, we know Republicans are willing to go up to $1 trillion. That's going to be kind of their cap, their top line number. We also know that President Biden would consider a bipartisan stimulus package at 1.5. Now, you got to keep in mind, this has to be bipartisan. And what we know based on everything that we've been reading, based on interviews, based on, representatives and senators speaking to the media is that Democrats, yes, they wanted 1.9 and they will ultimately get $1.9 trillion in stimulus. But what President Biden is saying is, let's go and get 1.5 trillion in a bipartisan stimulus package, and then we'll just pass the rest through a budget reconciliation. It would be so much easier to do it that way, and then I would keep my promise as we would have unity in Congress, and we would provide we would work together and provide a bipartisan stimulus package. Well, that sounds great, but it's Democrats that are pushing against this. Democrats don't want President Biden to negotiate and to get into the middle of this because they're getting so close to getting all their provisions currently passed. So, can they negotiate a deal that is about $500 billion difference? That $1 trillion from Republicans to $1.5 trillion for Democrats? Currently, it's unknown. But some say, and most experts don't predict or don't expect President Biden to be able to get this bipartisan stimulus package done, at least in a timely fashion. We know there's billions of dollars sitting there for vaccines that should be going out so people can get vaccinated and we can finally reach this herd immunity that Dr. Fauci has been talking about for months. But it needs more funding. But according to multiple reports, they are stating that there is still billions of dollars sitting in accounts that has not even been touched. Simply because the vaccines aren't coming quick enough. So we have multiple issues here. Now, what we also know is, at least not what we are hearing, but kind of what we can expect, is that Democrats are not going to negotiate. They don't feel like negotiating at this point because they hold all the power. They are saying that right now that they hold all the power, it would be a disservice to their constituents, to all the voters in America that voted for them. It would not be helpful and it would not work if they bring the package down to a lower amount. Ultimately, what this is going to do is this is going to drive voters to vote Republican come the midterm election. And that is one thing that Democrats can't afford. So here's what's on the line right now. We know this, but let's do a quick recap. We have a $1,400 stimulus check. This will go out immediately. The IRS says this will go out immediately as soon as this bill is passed. Now, this will go out to any individual as of right now. Again, all these things could change. This would go to any individual that makes under $75,000 would receive a full stimulus check of $1,400. If you make over $75,000 up to $100,000, you would get a partial stimulus check. If you make anything over $100,000, you would get absolutely nothing. For couples, this would be $150,000 and less. You'd get everything. You get the full $2,800. That's $1,400 per person. And you would also get a partial stimulus check up to $200,000. Anything that you make over that, you would not get a single penny. So that's what we know there. We also have $400 per week in unemployment benefits until August 29th. Yes, they are cutting this about 1 month short. Not sure why, but as we get more details, I promise I'll update you on that as well. It's $300 for children between 0 and 5, and $250 for children per month for children that are 6 to 17. This would start on July 1st, and this would go for the rest of the year. This would be monthly payments. Now, we also know that you would get a partial tax credit at the end of the year once you file your 2021 tax return in 2022. So you're going to get the full amount even though you only get payments for actually 6 months. We also know there's $130 billion in here for schools, $30 billion for rental assistance, $50 billion for small businesses, and I think there's $35 billion in here for restaurants. I believe that's what the number is. That's what they came up with. So that's very good. Restaurants have been impacted significantly. There's $350 billion for state and local government funding, and $15 federal minimum wage increase. We also have funding in here for vaccines and other things as well. All of this is on the line. And many Democrats say that passing a bipartisan stimulus package actually strips away their rights and a lot of their provisions. Because we know Republicans are not going to go for a $15 federal minimum wage. We know they're not going to go for $350 billion in state and local government funding. We know they're not going to go for an additional $100 per week for unemployment benefits. And we know they would like to kind of rein in who gets the $1,400 stimulus check. So what we do know is that many Democrats say that by stripping away these provisions, this actually is unacceptable. And they have to go big, and they need to provide a bold stimulus package. We also know that Nancy Pelosi wants this bill as quickly as possible. That way, it can be sent over to the Senate and hopefully passed there as well. Again, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. We're kind of in limbo at this point. The problem with all of this is that the House rules are so much more relaxed than in the Senate. So if this bill doesn't pass, many experts say it's not because of the people voting against it. It's not because of Senator Sinema or Senator Manchin voting to oppose this bill. It's actually because of the provisions within the bill. This would most likely not pass the Senate's rules and the parliamentarians. So because of that, that's where the issues are going to come. So as we get more information on this bill and what we can expect moving forward, the amount of stimulus going out to the American people, I promise to keep you updated on everything that we hear. So again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. And I'll see you guys on the next one.